What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Steelers State of the Franchise. Today, we're just going to be talking, kind of piggybacking off of some of the things we talked about in our pregame show yesterday. This was just recapping what happened yesterday in Buffalo. Obviously, we lost. The final score was 26-15. Ben Roethlisberger probably had one of his worst games of the season, at least in my opinion. He had 187 yards, one was basically a garbage time touchdown, but he had two touchdowns and then he had two interceptions. Drops continued from Deontay Johnson and he was benched. Ebron dropped a couple and he was benched. Defense seems like they're kind of wearing down a bit. We had 17 carries for 47 yards rushing, so not really a huge jump in production there. But yeah, so those are like the ins and outs of, the game in terms of the stats. Josh Allen was essentially perfect in the second half. I don't think he really threw too many incompletions, but that helps when you have receivers running wide open down the field consistently. So, yeah, that was basically what happened. We also had some injuries. So what did you think, man?
Well, shit. I just felt like the game. I saw everything happening with the very first play. I just knew where it was going to go. Well, as soon as like I said, the first pass of the game was to Deontay Johnson, and it was a nice easy screen pass, and he drops it.
Yep.
I knew from right there. When I saw that, I just knew that it wasn't going to look good. I was hoping that it would turn around, but I just knew that we were just going to jump on that same bullshit that we've been doing week after week.
Right. Same thing we've been talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had a couple drops, and it wasn't just the fact that he was dropping the ball still. Not only were they easy passes that he could have easily caught, but these were on, possession downs, like third down, big downs, and a lot of, at least the two or three that he had that I saw were on third downs. And if he would have caught them, it would have continued or kept the drive going.
It would have broke. Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point, I feel like he's just kind of in his head with these drops. He's thinking too much, and they need to sit him, and which they did basically the whole game, after that. So I appreciate Tomlin being good on his word.
Yeah. And they did bring him back in the second half and whatnot. He had four, I think, catches for 40 yards, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. He showed that, he's got the skills, like he's got potential, like especially if he can catch the ball and then break, he can, definitely he can move. He's elusive,
right.
But he's just not catching the ball. He's just not holding on, and I think that's the problem for us right now. And it's not just him either. It's all the way around. It's all the receivers.
Yeah, he's really the main culprit, him and Ebron. But yeah, collectively everybody has to be better.
Yeah.
The run game is ineffective, and I'm just the more and more I see it, the more and more I think that it's not necessarily James Conner's fault, but it's the team in which they're running the ball, and the fact that they absolutely refuse to put a fullback in there on an I formation or anything like that. They never do that. And I just, at this point, I'm like, why do we even have Derek Watt? Like, why did we?
I thought the same thing, because I'm like, we spent money on bringing him in to, for these reasons, and we're not even using him. Yeah. And I don't even think the blockers, the O-line is doing a great job at picking up their guys either. They hit them, but they're still, even I went back and watched that the highlights of the Bills, yesterday's game, and they just left too many guys just open, running right through the gaps and just picking off Conner. So,
and yeah, man, I just think I think it's at the point now where we can, at least I can confidently say that our offensive coordinator Randy Fichtner, he needs to be gone. He needs to go. because
Yes.
I mean, I don't mean to be harsh and all that. And, I hate to say like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be unemployed or whatever. Man, he's got to go. His scheme does not work. It's so predictable. And every defense in the NFL knows exactly what's coming.
Yeah,
And
hell,
it's killing us. I mean, we do enough to kill ourselves. I mean, we don't need anything else to do it.
yeah,
And
and they're not afraid of our deep threat at all.
no,
They
because
are
it's
not afraid.
non-existent. There is no deep threat, because
They know that everything is going to be short. You know what I'm saying? They know we can't run the ball, and like I said, that's all. Basically, that's what I said. That's all they needed to do is neutralize the run. The deep threat is not there. We're going to throw everything underneath, real short, and they did just that. And then when it came, you know what? Slow down, slow down. First half. So, so overall in the first half, um, again, it was a little bit of a boxing match. We went back and forth, tried to fill each other out. Defense looked really good for us in the first half. We forced an interception. We even forced some fumbles, but Buffalo,
covered them,
yeah. I mean, but we looked good. I mean, we looked okay. We looked like we was on the right path a little
right.
bit.
I kind of felt the same way about the first half, man. Like I felt like we were. I don't want to say. I mean, we weren't dominating because it was it was an even match. But I thought that we, for the most part, controlled the first half.
Yeah,
Our running attack, although it wasn't crazy good, it was being effective in the first half to some degree. We were moving the ball a little bit because we were able to run the ball a little bit better, but that just all went away in the second half. But really, I feel like the game completely turned when Ben threw that terrible pick six. It was a bad throw. Juju was covered. He was not open. He should not have thrown that ball at all. I mean,
I
if you're
totally
gonna, if you like how much he does the checkdowns. If you're going to do checkdowns and check down, that's a pass right there where he should have just done a check down or something like that, or thrown it away or whatever the case. I mean, he just tried to kind of force it in there, and didn't have a lot of zip on the pass either. He kind of just lobbed it to him, and then it was a pick six. We were up 7-3 at that point, and we had the ball with like a minute left. So we were doing things. So worst comes to worst, you don't get anything and you run the clock out and get in the halftime up 7-3. You feel better about yourself. But then he throws that pick, and then the second half starts, and we just we couldn't do anything right. Defensively, offensively, it's like the whole entire team stayed in the locker room at halftime.
Yeah.
And it really, really irritated me just seeing their number one receiver, their best receiver, Stephon Diggs, running completely uncovered time and time and time again in that second half.
But yeah, and I feel you. But going back to the that interception at the end of the first half. I did notice that when I watched that whole thing happen, like they ran that play earlier in the game. That same play, they ran it earlier to Juju. So my man was waiting for it. I think he might have had it, already knew what we was trying to do. And I think that's why it made it a little easier for him to. And it didn't help that, like you said, Ben didn't put a lot behind that either. He did kind of just, just threw it in there. But it was, like you said, it was a terrible throw. Should have never happened. And like you said, it definitely set us back. And we just wasn't. I know I wasn't happy about it.
No, I was furious. I was screaming at the TV and everything. That whole thing. That's probably the first time all year I was screaming at the TV. Because we've been spoiled with having a good year to this point. I mean, we were 11-0, even though we weren't playing that well up until that point. But we still were winning games. We're finding ways to win. But now it's starting to get to the point where we're finding ways to lose. I think the turning point in the second half was that one play. I don't know if you remember it or not, but he threw it to Stephon Diggs, and Minka just like laid a shoulder into him, and he just bounced right off of him and went 20 extra yards. And I think that play right there was like the complete turning point in the whole game, aside from the pick six, because then they started getting their rhythm going and they were basically unstoppable, you know.
What helped? Yeah, and what I think helped with that was the fact that I think the Bills had they going into halftime and whatnot, they obviously made some sort of adjustment because they were able to hold off Cam. Cam was getting back there.
Yeah.
He was putting in work. And they made whatever adjustments that needed to be made, and they limited Cam on what he could do and gave Allen enough time to throw the ball, for something to develop downfield, because I feel like, we ended up going back to that zone coverage, and then all you had to do was give your receivers enough time to, to run their routes, and they found a soft spot. And that's what I think that, that's what they were doing. They got their O-line together.
Yeah.
And I think that was, yeah.
I will say this, out of all of the shit that went down in that game, negatively for us, I think the lone bright spot of the whole game was Mike Hilton. He seems to always make plays, and I feel like he's our best corner. I've been saying that for a while now. He was all over the place again, yesterday. He played a good game. It's just, as far as the defense giving up big plays and stuff like that, I just felt like it was a combination of the offense not being able to move the ball, and the defense just got worn out, and then they started getting guys hurt and guys were dropping left and right.
Yeah.
It was just a snowball effect. It just wasn't good.
Yeah, you're right. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, like, again, in the first half, we were playing, pretty decent. The defense was doing its job going into halftime. And then coming back into the second half, like I said, the Bills made their adjustments, did what they needed to do, and again, our defense. And I said this before in the other episodes, like, our defense can only do but so much. I mean, you know what I'm saying, and I am going to have to say that the reason why we're losing is because our offense can't move the ball.
Yeah.
They, and I am going to put it on them. It's the offense, the offensive coordinator. Our defense have been playing great, you know what I'm saying? But then, they kind of need the offense's help too, man, because we out there all the time, the defense, and, they get tired too. So, and like I said, after a while, whoever we're playing, our opponent, they're going to figure out our defense out, and they're just going to work around it. You know what I'm saying? So, second half was bad. It was just trash for us. Like you said, I mean, it was just bad.
One of the worst halves of football we've played all year.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what I was watching, man. And I'm like, I know Ben is a lot better than that too, man. But now it almost seems like maybe he is starting to show his age a little bit, man, because it's like, he's not even running the ball. He's not even, trying to take it in himself or whatever. Now I'm starting to question whether if he, and I love Ben, like I said, he's done a lot for us, but now I'm starting to question whether if he's our guy still, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, everywhere, you look at all the other teams, they got, decent, quarterbacks, and they can move the ball, they can run, they can do this and that. But I don't know, man. Like I said,
I mean, I don't know if you saw what he said after the game or not, what Ben said. He said that, he's not playing good enough football right now, of course. And he said if he continues to not play well, maybe it's time to hang it up.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. So he's already got it in his head that he doesn't have confidence. I think the whole offense has just completely lost confidence. I feel like he's lost confidence in the receivers because they continue to drop the ball. And he's starting now to lose confidence in his own ability,
And
that's not good. When you don't have confidence going into the playoffs, you're going to get bounced early, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's never a good look, man.
Yeah, and him
I'm like,
saying that is just, especially if we crash out in the playoffs and we have no improvement at all,
yeah,
through the course of now to the playoffs or whatever, I feel like that could be something he might actually do. He might hang it up, if he
he
continues to
may,
play bad.
he may. I think he, I know that he values his receivers. He believes that his receivers are great, and that they have strong potential on making those big plays. But and I feel like maybe that's why he's keeps throwing these short passes and giving them an opportunity to what I'm saying, to break free and make a big splash play. But I mean, like I said, the issue is again just the receivers aren't catching the ball. So yeah, I mean I can see that too, because I feel like he is putting the ball where it should be
For the most part, yeah.
for the most part. But um, I don't know. I guess when your receivers aren't catching the ball and it's kind of hard to I guess prove yourself. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? The show that you still have it.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a buzzkill, man. Because you know, we've been struggling all season, and how we got here 11-2 now.
Yeah. It just seems like now it's all starting to fall apart a bit,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
We're
and
having an identity crisis now. Like,
right. And just, since we've kind of basically covered everything that went on in the game, I just want to take a little bit of a look forward, considering how we've played and everything. And this is just my opinion. And I mean, it may be considered a hot take or whatever the hell it is. But as of right now, I feel like the Steelers are not capable of beating any team that's going to be in the playoffs based on how they're playing. I
and I
just
agree.
I have absolutely zero confidence that they can beat anybody. Because take a look at the playoff picture right now. You
Yeah,
got obviously, you got the Chiefs, and we ain't beating them. You got the Bills. We proved that we can't beat them. Dolphins, even I feel like could beat us because they're disciplined and they're well coached, and they play hard. And that's
yeah,
not something that we're doing right now. And even the Browns, they're starting to get into a groove now too.
yeah.
That's a
I'm not
team that I'm not confident we can beat either.
Yeah, this time around, the second time around, I'm a little nervous for us too because I'm like, they feel like they got something, solid going on,
Mhm.
now. And the way we playing, we like I said, I think we playing like ass right now. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Offensively, and I'm gonna keep saying this, our defense can only do but so much.
yeah,
And that's it.
absolutely.
Like, defense wins championships,
Yeah,
but we need the offense's help too. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And it's not like the olden days where you could get by on just a good defense and a mediocre at best offense. Those days
yeah,
are gone now.
yeah,
The way teams and the way the rules are in the NFL and everything, how they protect the offenses for the most part. You
yeah,
barely touch the receiver, otherwise it's pass interference. You can't even touch the quarterback and it's roughing the passer. They cater to the offense, these play calls. And if we cannot do anything on offense, our defense, like you said, can only do so much. We can't continuously go out there after three and out, three and out, three and out, or turnover, three and out, turnover, and expect our defense to just score for us because it feels like that's what they're trying to do. This
yeah,
offense, the way it stands right now, I know we have Ben and everything, and he's the better quarterback of all the ones that we have, but I see no difference in how our offense played without him last year and how our offense is playing now. There's really no difference. They're just as bad as they were last year offensively, at least how they're playing right now in these 3 weeks or whatever it's been, where we've been in this rut.
yeah,
I feel like they haven't played well, not even better than Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph played, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously Ben's going to give us the best chance to win, but I mean, the drop off is not even as drastic as we thought it was, with Ben not being out there. So, you know,
Yeah, man, it's just tough.
Yeah, man. I mean, he threw that pick six, obviously that ended the game. And that's kind of starting to become a trend a bit. Not the pick six, but just his interceptions are starting to
They're starting to
increase.
pick up a little bit now. So
Yeah. And it's because it just goes back to the play calling. They keep running the same shit every single week. And
yeah,
it seems like there's no adjustments from week to week. They go into the press conferences after a shitty performance and they'll say like, "Oh, we need to reevaluate, we need to make adjustments, blah blah blah," and then they come out and they do the same shit
I
that they
saw,
lost because of the previous week.
and I was gonna say I noticed that I guess with James Conner back, they felt like they can you know, play around with the play action a little bit. And once I feel like once they found out that that shit wasn't working either, they just went right back straight to the passing game. Even I forget who it was that was commentating, but even they said it themselves during the game. They were like it almost seems like they're replacing the run game with the short dink and dunks. And I said that shit last time we was talking about that.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's the same thing week in, week out. And we're not hard to figure out pretty much at this point.
No. And we're not hard to beat either.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
I mean, both the Redskins or, Washington, rather, excuse me, both
yeah,
Washington and Buffalo now have all kind of exposed our flaws, and now teams have tape on how to beat us. And if we don't make adjustments, we're not going to win very many games the rest of the way. And I mean, I may have been talking last night when I was, talking to my dad and my brother. I may have been just talking out of just frustration at the moment, but I was telling my dad that I would not be surprised if we didn't win another game the rest of the year. I mean,
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised either.
yeah,
I honestly, I'm with you with that one because I'm
yeah,
like, what I'm saying, as much of us, like I said, still I will rep Steelers
yeah,
all
absolutely.
all night, but I'm being real too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we lost against and I was just talking to somebody earlier about this. And I'm like, yeah, I think who we playing next? We got Cincy next,
yeah, Cincy next, which we should be able to beat, but you never know with Pittsburgh.
bro.
You
That's
always never know.
dude was like, oh, you got Cincinnati Bengals, you should be able to beat them. I said, shit. I said we struggle with backup QBs too, man. I'm like, look, I won't be surprised if we lose to the Cincinnati Bengals team, man. But
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Like I said, just the way we've been playing.
yeah. I'll tell you
Yeah,
what though, I was thinking about some things about going forward and stuff like that because we're not getting the number one seed. We're not getting that first round bye. Obviously we know that now.
yeah,
I didn't think we were going to get it anyway before this game started, and now it's just kind of confirmed that we're not going to get it. And I honestly, at this point, I would just rest some of your starters. I mean, you're not going to get maybe not right now, but like against Indy or against Cleveland, at this point it doesn't really matter, because
right.
we're already in the playoffs. We're not going to get the number one seed, so it doesn't really matter. I would start resting some guys, start getting some guys healthy, because what the hell else do you got to lose? I would rather have a healthy, rested team going into the playoffs, regardless of the seeding, than I would, having number one seed and a bunch of worn out players.
That's true. And I see where you're going with this, but it's like at the same time, we defensively we are already struggling. Even offensively, I think we lost some of the guys on the O line.
Mhm.
So we've got a bunch of players that are kind of out.
Yeah.
But with the way that things are going at this point, going into the playoffs, I honestly I don't think we should rest anybody. They need what I think they need is, like I said, go out there and they need to get their shit together, because if we were about to go into the playoffs, we need to know exactly what we need to do.
Right.
Don't rest, because if you rest, you might have cold hands, and then again you want to run into the same fucking problem where we dropping passes and don't know
Right.
we forgot how to run the ball. and then we got a bunch of shit that's going on. So that's my opinion. I think that go out there.
Yeah,
You
no, I mean,
if we're gonna be in the playoffs, we have to give it everything we got to make it past the first round.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we just
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and that's probably the more logical thing to do. But it's just I just feel like the team is just worn out. I mean, this game against Cincinnati, we can
yeah.
win, and we don't need tons of our starters in order to win that game. I feel like that's just my opinion.
So let's
I'm
say
not necessarily saying sit Ben Roethlisberger for a game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like some of like the key defensive guys. Let them rest up. Let them heal up. Some of them. If a
yeah,
guy is like questionable or whatever because of an injury,
yeah.
don't play him this week.
Okay.
Let him rest an extra week. And get himself right for the two huge games that we have after that in Indianapolis and then Cleveland
Okay.
because neither
Okay.
one of those games are going to be easy games, based
That,
on how both teams are playing.
yeah, that does make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not saying bench Ben Roethlisberger because he gives us our best chance to win,
Yeah.
despite the fact that he's not playing well. And I'd like to say that he'll bounce back, but I mean, there's not really any confidence there.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, um, we I'm used to Ben like really taking a shot, down the field, like really taking those shots down the field, and
Mhm.
he hasn't been doing that. And
Yeah,
I think that's why it that's what made the game exciting. You know what I'm saying? It was like you knew he was gonna take a shot a few times during the game, and then just seeing the receivers come down with the big play and whatnot. But it's just not happening.
no.
Um,
And the few times that he does take shots, they're wildly inaccurate.
yeah, it's not. Yeah.
It's
So
like I don't know if that's a chemistry thing or not, but I mean, you're in week 14 of the NFL season now, so chemistry should not be an issue at this
should.
point.
Yeah.
I think it's starting to become clear that Ben Roethlisberger he's not the same. He's lost a step. And I mean, you could probably have said that earlier this year too, but he was managing the game. He's basically become a game manager at this point. He's not that
Yeah.
gunslinger guy that we used to have
Yeah.
because, he's not throwing it down the field. Like you said, he's not taking chances, like we're used to him doing. And they're not using Chase Claypool nearly enough. They were using him a lot at the beginning of the year, and just all of a sudden they stopped going to him. And it's not like he was dropping the passes all the time. I mean, he's pretty short-handed,
Yeah.
and it's just for whatever reason they just don't even try to go deep, you know. So I don't know if it's just Ben just doesn't have confidence that he can get it there or what. But I think it's mainly the main culprit I feel like is the offensive coordinator. His
Yeah.
game planning is just horrible. And that one drive we had against Buffalo last night where we actually started to do something towards the end of the game. I mean, the game was essentially over. I mean, they cut it to a one-score game, but I mean, it didn't look good even with that. But that drive, he went strictly no huddle the entire drive, and he went right down the field and scored. And then they just didn't do it again. So I don't understand it. It's like they're stubborn. They don't want to adjust. They're just like, no, the players got to execute. The players got to execute. I'm like, no, man, yes, the players got to execute too. That's right. But you got to have a better scheme than that because people know it. They have memorized what Pittsburgh's trying to do because they know we cannot run the ball to save our lives. And it's just not looking good at this point for Pittsburgh right now. And I don't have confidence that they can really beat anybody the way they're playing.
No. And I don't think Ben. I think Ben might be losing confidence in his receivers too. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's just so many different problems, and we just it just almost seems like we can't figure shit out right now. So,
Hmm.
but going into what next week's game,
Yep.
going up against Cincy, most would say that this should be an easy game for us to win. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be an easy win or easy game for that matter.
No.
But,
Steelers fans know it's not going to be easy. Steelers fans know nothing is ever easy.
but like I said, I mean, something's got to give. What I don't know. Everybody, the coaching staff, everybody's got to come together. And like I said, we've been saying this already for a few weeks now. We just got to figure this shit out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and get ready for playoffs, man.
Yeah, and I mean, we can talk till we're blue in the face about the same shit every single week, but nothing ever changes, and we're never going to have anything new to talk about. It's going to be the same shit, just a different opponent that we're talking about.
Yep.
And I'm really sick of that. I'm sick of us coming out and just playing just like we don't care, and it just seems like we don't care sometimes. Especially last night, didn't seem like we really gave a shit. At certain points in the game, it's like we got down after that pick six and we were like, oh, well, guess we're not winning this one.
I felt like coming into the second half, like there was a little bit more of a little bit of a, sense of urgency and whatnot. But, I feel like even after they had scored, that's when all hope just went out the window. Like I said, I just knew that the game was over. And I think those guys pretty much knew.
And I honestly, you can agree with this or not, but I feel like after the second half started and then the Bills came right down and scored, that touchdown, I felt like the defense kind of just gave up because they're like, all right, we're down by 2 scores. This offense can't seem to do anything. So, we'll go hard and hurt ourselves,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just being too dramatic as a Steeler fan, but
not at all. But if the offense was playing a lot better, if they made the game a lot closer, then yeah, I mean, there's more of a reason to try.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, we can keep on going and keep talking about the same shit over and over again. But it's their job. They need to figure this shit out. And like I said, they're the ones going into the playoffs, and they got to go in there and get the job done. So,
I don't know. Yeah, man, I agree with you. And that I think that basically covers everything that I wanted to talk about. There's not a whole lot really else to talk about. We know what's going on with this team. We know what they need to do. Hopefully they know what they need to do. Hopefully they actually do make some adjustments and actually attempt to start playing better, because that would be great if we could actually start playing like we're an 11-2 team and not a 2-11 team.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's all you can really say.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. Well, once again, I do appreciate everybody watching and listening. We'll be coming at you the rest of the season with all of these post-game analysis. Maybe it'll be over sooner than we thought. But, I mean, hey, we'll just have to see what happens from here on out. But I appreciate everybody watching and listening, and we'll catch you guys next time on Steelers State of the Franchise.